So one of the best decisions that I made was to start a business. It's contributed greatly to my financial success. It gives me freedom. I can do what it is that I want to do. I work from home. I control my own time, and I have more control over my own destiny. I love being a business owner. And isn't this what we see all the time? We see business owners that really seem like they love what it is that they do. They're enjoying the success of their hard work. They have the beautiful cars and the beautiful homes. But there's a part that we don't see. And in today's video, I want to make you more aware of that part. I want to bring that into focus to help you see what it's really like to be a freight broker. Not just the smoke in the mirrors, but the real deal, what it's like on a day in and day out basis of being a business owner, because there's more to freight brokering than just moving freight. So I'm going to tie you into that today in this video. So come on inside, sit back, relax, and now let's get down into the business. So what is it like? What is it really like to be a freight broker on a day in and day out basis? Well, it's fast paced. It's problem solving every day, all day, with the exception of the weekends. And you can still move load on the weekend, but it's problem solving all day long. It's going into your TMS system and saying, hey, what loads are available to me today? And how many assets, what type of assets will I have to be able to cover those loads? So I'll pull up my TMS and see what loads are available, see what the requirements are on those loads. What time are those loads going to pick up? What times do they deliver? Do we have appointment times on those loads? I'm going to be checking all of that stuff within my TMS and making phone calls on those loads. And then I'm also going to have my load board up. I'm going to have that load board up because I want to know what trucking capacity looks like in specific lanes. In lanes that I'm looking to cover, I want to go in and say, okay, well, how many trucks do I have available in that lane? And I'll also be using my load board to go in and start forming my rate, because you're going to be able to go in on that load board and get the median averages in lanes. So of course that means some loads are going to be higher than that, some loads are going to be lower than that, but it gives me a starting place when I start forming my rate. And then I also be talking to carriers via the load board, calling carriers that are on that load board, that are in those lanes, to negotiate load movement. And I'll be talking to shippers about what I'm seeing in those lanes, what type of rates I'm able to give. So it's a constant back and forth talking between shippers and carriers, trying to figure out which is going to be best when it comes down to matching assets with loads. I'll start making some time to reach out to new customers during the day. I can't just focus on what's going on with the customers that I have, because at some point those customers could leave. So I'm always trying to make sure that we have a sufficient amount of customers on hand. So we're going to call customers, reach out to those customers, talk about our services, talk about who we're working with now, what we're providing to those companies. And then of course we're trying to make sure that we put ourselves in a position with new shippers so that we can get new business. It's all about replenishing your business, keeping new customers. And a big part of what I do is put out fires. Put out shipper fires, put out carrier fires, put out my own business fires. It's a job of fire tending all day long, because there are going to be things that happen. There are going to be things that happen that you're used to happening, that you have answers to. And then there are going to be some things that happen that you have no idea what you should do. That's a part of this business. There's always something new that comes up that you haven't seen before. And now you have to figure out how you're going to get through that problem. How are you going to fix it? And although we're going to be focused on getting new customers, we are definitely not going to forget about the customers that we already have, because what we do understand is that it's a whole lot cheaper to keep customers that we have than it is to go out and get new customers. So we're going to pay particular attention to the customers that we already have. And I think that customer retention is something that is very important, something that I want to do a little bit of work in all the time. I'm always going to be talking to those customers that we have on board about getting more of their business, because oftentimes you're only moving a very small portion of the loads of the shipper that you're working with. So we want to get a bigger segment of those loads. How do we do that? We do that by performing well on the loads that we already have, but also by talking to that shipper, getting to know them better, getting to know their operation better. And then I just offer a service to the problem that I've uncovered in the conversation that I've had with the shipper. I'm also the cash flow manager. I have to make sure there's a sufficient amount of cash on hand in our business at all times. I have to know which receivables have been paid, which ones have not. I have to be on top of the tax situation. What taxes have been paid, when taxes are due. Now, yes, I have a CPA, but still at the end of the day, I'm responsible for that. So I have to make sure that I'm checking the check. And overall, I'm responsible for doing good business. Doing good business with my customers on the shipper side, on the carrier side, but also more importantly, myself. Oftentimes you'll see people in business and they're not paying themselves a salary. It's very important. It's your responsibility to pay yourself a salary. Now, who's the producer of that salary? Who's the catalyst? Of course you are. You got to go out and make it happen. But don't forget you. You can pay everybody else, and of course you have to do that. You have to pay your TMS, your load boards, your surety bond, and all of that good stuff, the cost of being in business. But don't forget about you. Don't forget to pay you a salary. That's the whole purpose in being in business. And one of the things that I do more so than anything else as a freight broker, and I do this daily, and that's building relationships. And yes, we all know about building relationship with carriers. They have the trucks that we need. We know about building relationships with shippers. They have the loads that we need. But we often forget about building relationships with the people at the facilities where we drop off and pick up at. Trust me when I tell you, you're going to need those people at some point. Sometimes you may not have an appointment, and you're going to need somebody over there. You're going to need to know somebody where you can get in and get a load picked up or delivered, even though you may not have an appointment. Or you may have an appointment with the facility, but they may just be backed up. They may have a whole lot of truckers in there and they can't get to you. Your driver might call you and say, hey, I've been waiting out here for an hour and I still haven't gotten a door. Well, if you know somebody inside, all you do is just give them the person a call inside and let them know, hey man, my driver's been sitting out there for about an hour. We still haven't gotten a door. Can you give me a heads up on what's going on? That person might just say, hey, yeah man, we're a little bit backed up, but as soon as we get some openings in about 30 minutes, I'll get him to the door. So it's always good to know somebody. It's always good to have a connection inside, because when you know somebody, sometimes things might go in your favor. But if you don't, it could be a little bit of a struggle. So in conclusion, the purpose of this video was to give you a better understanding of what goes on in a freight broker business on a daily basis. Yes, it's about load movement. That's the foundation. That's where it all starts. That's how we make money, by moving loads. But that's not all that we do. It's more about learning how to manage a business. And most of us, we don't know how to do that when we start the business. We learn that as we go. We learn that as we start moving loads, as we start making money, we learn how to manage the business. We learn through doing. So that's what I wanted to share with you today. I certainly hope this information has been helpful. If you want to learn more about the freight broker business, I'll leave a free link in the description. It's my 5-video series titled How the Load Movement Process Works. It will give you a look into the freight broker business, let you see how it works. That way you can learn before you come into it, instead of coming into it and then figuring out that maybe, hey, this is not for me. You get a good idea of what the picture looks like before you actually come into it. And then if you want to know more about the load board, how we use it to go in and search for trucks, post our loads, and as a rate sourcing tool, I'll leave a free tutorial.
Please like, subscribe, and click the bell so you don't miss anything. I wish you the very best in your life and business. See you at the top, because the bottom is much too crowded.